plenty of questions. Oops. Any questions? Yes.
I have several ones. Should I go one by one?
One by one, I think.
First, I'm curious how much.
Take the microphone.
I'm curious how much time you spend in each place before you start shooting.
It depends on the place a little, but it's not only the time. It's like a process you have that you find out about the place, you get to know the people, and more or less the key is that you come back to the place. Like when people get to know you, it's one thing, and also like these places, maybe with the exception of Bangladesh, because there is hardly any journalists coming by, but normally there is. The journalists sort of have this attitude. They go in, they steal some pictures in a way, or they just take it, and then the next day you're in the newspaper or in the news, and they say whatever they want to say about the place. So that's sort of the thing you have to overcome, because the people have to start to trust you, that you're not just there for some bad news, but you're there for something serious, or something that also affects them, and that they understand what you do.
But maybe as a whole, the whole project it's a trilogy that went over many years. You've traveled to many places. For this particular film, like, how should we imagine it in terms of from the original idea to the film? How long did it take?
Then it takes a couple of years, but I also, in these years, I made 2 other films. Mm-hmm. So don't imagine I'm always there. But what is essential is that it's sort of a procedure, that you go back, that you connect, that you make friends in a way. It only works with places where you can go back. It's not, but there is no rule. I cannot answer your question in terms of 1 month. Maybe it's a month, maybe it's 3 months. You know, it's like when it's done, and the filming is very quick. The whole film was shot in 30 days. 10 days each place, but the preparation and the get to know and the find out, that's a month long experience.
How it was with the permissions, and all the customers that appear in the film, I imagine they were all, it was kind of arranged. They were all paid, I imagine.
No, the customers are the only ones in this film who never saw a penny. But otherwise, I of course, I try to compensate the people. I also do when they are not asking for it, but prostitutes always ask for money. And also the mafia who controls them, they want some money. But the customers not. The customers were sort of, I didn't imagine this when I started the film, but it was the easiest, because customers are normally like stigmatized. Everybody thinks they are the bad guys. So in a way, when they found out that I'm serious about the whole thing, and I give a stage to the people who appear in the film, the girls can say whatever they like, and the customers were coming up to me and said, I've seen you so many times. And then when they found out that I'm serious, they can say what they want. They were very willing to participate. They didn't ask for any money.
I was also curious why there's no, why there are only countries from the countries in development included.
That's not true. Thailand is not, Bangkok is not a developing country. It's a first world city.
Is it
also Mexico, not. Bangladesh is third world, that's the only place. Mexico is second world. So actually you have one like almost high standard place, one in the middle, one really third world.
And there was, you never thought of including a European country?
Why should I?
No, it's a question.
Yeah, I thought of it, but it didn't fit the concept. And I don't think Europe is the middle of the world.
I don't think either, but it's something
But
that it's
why
more close
do
because
people
I know
always
the
ask?
culture. No, I'm just saying it would be interesting to see how people react or how people communicate in a place that, for me, for example, it's more familiar.
It wouldn't be. It wouldn't be, I promise you. The brothel around the corner is as alien for you as the one in Bangladesh.
And the last question, is it the secret of how much was the budget of the film?
2 million euros.
Okay. And a big congratulations for cinematography.
I will tell him.
Thank you.
Now the question at the back.
Can you talk about your musical choices in the film? Music seems really important to it, so I was curious about your process.
The process is maybe it's the harder thing to talk about because music is not a very intellectual process. If you make it one, then it never works. I think a lot about music, I talk a lot about music, I bring tons of music to my editor, and then she uses very different things. Because music works or doesn't. I had the concept when I started out to like include you in my process of thought, that only like powerful, strong, emotional women should sing. So I started out with PJ Harvey, and she's that. You know, and I asked her, and she saw the first rushes, and she said, it's great what you do, but I'm somewhere else. The kind of music you like from me is from the 90s. I don't do this kind of music anymore, but you're most welcome to use my stuff. But I found out more and more that she works only for certain parts. That she works for Mexico, but she doesn't work for Thailand, because in Thailand it's much more fragile, it's much more floating, it's much more nice in a way. And there this kind of emotional outburst doesn't work. So I tried a different concept, and also I was really sure in the beginning that this whole movie is about women. There will be not one customer in the film. Then suddenly the customers came in. And I said, so maybe let's use duets, you know, because maybe this film is more of an interaction film than I thought. And then we started trying out Coco Rosie and Anthony. And also Tricky is a duet. But there is not one song in the film, and that stayed from the beginning concept, that only a man is singing. But in a way, I'm only telling you about a thought process. Music is not really something you can explain. But it was vital to me because prostitution is more than anything else about waiting. The girls, most of the day, are waiting for somebody to come. And when I spend a lot of time to them, I'm waiting with them for waiting what is gonna come. So I listen to my music, they listen to their music. But music is vital, otherwise you go crazy. And some of the girls, when they saw the film, like the Mexican women, they loved PJ Harvey. They said, who is this woman? She's, wow. But yeah, I'm talking, but it's a completely different process, because music works or it doesn't. I don't say that for everybody this music works in the film. It does for me. It's kind of a commentary.
How much did actually, if you think about the starting point of the film and the film itself, how much did it evolve? It completely, you explained now two points where it completely changed. Did this happen all the time on all the levels? Or?
Yes, I was at the point of the film, I was close to the decision to have a commentary that I wrote for the whole film. And the film at that moment was 4 hours long, because there was also I
also
yeah I wrote a commentary that was a constant dialogue between a John and a girl. So it was a male voice and a female voice, and they were always debating. There is a book accompanying the film where you can read this dialogue. It's about 30 pages long. And at one moment in the film, I had the choice to leave out the dialogue or to leave out the music, because those two like layers were killing themselves. So I left the music in the film. Maybe next film I do otherwise.
And how much was it preconceived that you went really in that order? Because I had the feeling you really, I mean, they become longer and longer, the parts, and
No,
you
they
see.
don't. It's a triptych.
Huh?
It's a triptych.
Yeah, but it's 32 minutes, 37 minutes, and little 40 something.
You're wrong.
Well,
It's at about 30, 60, 30. It's you know, a triptych is an altar painting. It has a fat middle and it has two wings.
But wasn't the last, isn't the Mexico part the longest?
No.
No?
That's always, that's also in Megacities, my first film of this kind. There is a sequence with a stripper everybody talks about and says it's the longest in the film. It's followed by a sequence of a crane operator in Moscow that has exactly the same length. Everybody remembers the stripper, nobody remembers the crane worker. And they would never have guessed that it has the same length. It's like when you're at the dentist, the time seems very long.
But you have also, in the very beginning of the film, you have the introduction of the three.
Yeah. So I always like when films have like an invitation card, because otherwise you think, oh my God, it's gonna be 8 episodes, I'm gonna die, you know. But if you know it's 3, sort of you get the invitation. Here you go.
And there you immediately expose the prostitution and religion, right?
Yes.
So how there this change your view on, you know, you from Muslim, Catholic, you know, and this exploring this relation.
I wasn't really exploring it in that sense that I forced it. It just really came about. I mean, when I was sitting in Bangladesh and they told me they can't do a blowjob because if the mouse has broken the Quran, you can't do that, that was a wake-up call. It's like that connection is that strong. Mm-hmm. Also like the very casual connection of the Thai girls who said, just give me a lot of customers, make me happy and give me a lot of money. That's also religion. Or the very philosophical and almost like guilt and death driven thing in Mexico that's very loaded. There you also see what Europe is about. We are loaded with guilt and sexuality, you know. So that's not that far away from Mexico. So nowadays I don't think so much that it counts anymore where you film it. It's like where you stop and watch.
Yeah, but you do have this. Am I right that it is the central part is it makes this switch to something very, very. I mean, the crying happens, the quote, the girl saying, "Yeah, but can I say something else?" And then opening actually a kind of register, which is then further explored and goes then to that actually in.
But, you know, I'm very drawn to more than this concept of where it is. I'm very drawn to places where you can show things. Mm-hmm. I think film works like that. You can also explain prostitution or sexuality with escort service or internet these days. Mm-hmm. But it's very hard in terms of cinematography. But if you have a compound or a ghetto where it happens since hundreds of years, and it happens in 3 houses with 800 girls, there is so much life in there, there's so much goings on, there is so much actual contact between physical contact. I think my films are very physical. Mm-hmm. I need the physical part. I don't need the third world. I don't need any kind of exhibition. Mm-hmm. But I need places that show that Thailand explains themselves. There is men in the dark, women in the light, and a glass between them. That's a lot. Before they even open their mouth, the visual part of the place explains itself. And also that's why Bangladesh became so heavy, because there it's overboarding life, sexuality. It's like in a school courtyard. It's everything. Like sexuality when we were 13 and when we will be 60. It's all there. It's all there every second and every minute of the day. And that's a place where you can show things. You don't have to explain them. You can show it. Even violence there is imminent. It's always there. The fight for customers.
Question?
Maybe since you received a compliment for cinematography, could you tell us something about the way the filming was planned? Because this was not some improvised camera. Everything was very much planned. So can you tell me how the preparations were on the levels of script and?
It was not, but the preparation took 15 years, because that's how long I worked with my cameraman. And there is no lighting, there is no lamps, there's only exchange of light bulbs and neons in the days before the shooting. So we have a surrounding where we can move freely. And there's always like the first days of shooting when the camera is something spectacular which don't really work. But after a while we can move pretty freely. And that goes together with the last thing I said. If you have a place that is sort of ripe with life, there in Bangladesh there was about 800 working girls. So if even half of them participate and ignore us or work with us, we can like catch a lot of things. There's only very, very few things where they really recognize us or they are informed beforehand. Of course in Mexico I have to ask and say, I want to do this sex theme. Do you mind? Maybe come in. Can you choose a customer where this works? That sort of is like that. But in that film, otherwise in that film, nothing is scripted. But many things happen again and again and again. Like the crazy girl in Mexico, she undresses and runs around the compound. She does it every other day. One day we're there. You know, it's not that I sent her. So it's when you know those places well, you don't have to script it.
If you could say it in German, because her English is not. This last question, if you can rephrase it in German.
Die Dame hat gefragt, ob diese Sachen sehr geskriptet sind. Und
zanima me, kako on gleda na življenje v tem 3000-letju, na ta odnos žene, ženskega napram nasprotnemu spolu. Lahko nemško govori, samo če mu vi prevedete.
How do you look at the relation women
men in the
21st century, but today? And if you can answer
Das ist eine komplexe Frage. Aber vielleicht habe ich sie so en passant schon ein bisschen beantwortet. Ich gehe an Orte, wo zum Beispiel Prostitution noch sehr haftig stattfindet. Ja? Also es hat mir immer gefallen, dass in Bangladesch eine Frau einen Freier beim Hemd nimmt und sagt, du kommst jetzt mit. Das geht zum Beispiel am Internet schon sehr schwer. Also wenn Sie mich fragen, wie das endet oder anders wird, dann das ist irgendwie nicht mehr möglich. So haben zum Beispiel die mexikanischen Frauen, die Sie den Film gesehen haben, gesagt, sie möchten nicht in Thailand arbeiten, wegen der Glasscheibe. Aber vielleicht ist auch der Computer eine Glasscheibe. Also manchmal vermisst man fast diese altmodischen Straßenstrich, wo du nach Hause gegangen bist und die Mutter hat gesagt, na, wo gehst du denn hin, Kleiner, bleib noch ein bisschen da. Ja? Also das ist auch ein persönlicher Kontakt, der vielleicht dann auch ein bisschen woanders hingeht. Ich will es gar nicht werten, es geht woanders hin.
Any other questions? Michael has been a couple of times in Slovenia already. He has been extremely generous all day. He has been talking about his movie. There's one favor he asked us, that is that after, when we go out of here, we will no longer talk about the movie. So if you have any questions, please ask them now. He's willing to answer all of your questions, but don't keep them for afterwards, because he won't answer. Okay?
Yeah, don't keep them around.
I mean, the issue of the, I mean, you say you have a relation of 15 years with your cameraman. Still, for instance, the way how it is shot, it is extremely, I mean, extremely powerful photography. How do you move around in getting, you don't know the language, I assume? How do you move around and pick up dialogues? I mean, how much material did you shoot actually and to then use? How did you get everything transcripted, or did you go for a sense for what is going on there? Or do you work the whole time with interpreters who the whole time translated for you?
My interpreters are with me for a month. So, like in the research time, I go to my hotel room and I put a photo of the girl in my computer, and then I write everything I know about her. At the day of shooting, I said to my interpreter, look at Prishti here. Let's try to confront her with this other girl she likes very much and put her together, or with this other one she hates, and throw in a question. And then I only ask him, did it work? And that's enough for me. I like the surprises to come at home if they're good. But I don't have to know every word they say, because I know the girls so well that I know pretty much what they might say. And that's enough. That's also because I don't want them to say anything that I want to hear. I want them to surprise me. Like the two young girls, when they're talking about pain and how you cry when you love, or how pain takes over and then you have fun again and stuff. I could never ask them that kind of a question, because I would never know that a young girl can be so philosophical about it. And that's the room I give them. I get that only because I let it go. I don't get other things because I don't move in a direction. I just want to create situations where the people feel free to talk. Like never put them together where they don't want to talk to each other. So the main issue is to find out in a structure like Bangladesh who is good with whom and who hates whom and who is in that kind of a structure working how. Then you can make good pairs and then you get good results. And with my cameraman, that's sort of really, we take a lot of care to portray it right, to show it in a good way. I always say, if you photograph this girl, when she sees it, she should be proud of it. She should like herself. That's the way we're talking. It's not the way we're talking, she should be in the right side of the frame. It's a style that we already developed. But sometimes I say, her face is in the dark, she wouldn't like that. So we move her a little. Something like that.
If I can, just another detail, sorry to continue with what you just said. Okay, so you make all these preparations, you know what you're shooting, but how do you make them sort of forget that there's a camera there?
That's so easy because filmmaking is so boring for other people. That it's really so easy. It's one day where there is a thrill. There's a guy with a camera, and then it's gone. People are bored shitless with the process of filmmaking. That's in the subcontinent, in the street, it never goes away because the kids always come running. You know, then you have this problem that you have always kids around. But in a compound, like in Bangladesh, there is hardly any kids. So you don't even have that, or you have it half a day, because then you're a sensation. And when the sensation is gone, this is not difficult. This is like the two questions that come very often, and it's hard to make people understand. Also, like, how do you get to know these people? I always say, I ask them. I say, hello, I'm Michael, I come from Austria, I'm gonna make a film about you. They don't believe you. After a while, they do believe you. But they never really get it in some places. Like in Bangladesh, when I showed them the film, one of the mothers was pointing at the television set and said, what this woman says is true. And I said, Hasina, that's you. She said, I know, but what she says is very important. So she never figured really this extraction of her own self to the image she creates. So also your own intellect is not the same intellect as your protagonist's. So it's easy. It's more like, hello, here I am, let's do it.
How much material did you shoot as a whole?
Ratio of at about 1 to 20. I don't shoot a lot because I shoot on film and it's expensive. And it's also good because it's sort of the most creative act to reduce yourself to the essential. I don't think that, I would have a hard time with this kind of digital formats when you can shoot as much as nothing values, you know? I think it's good for me that it's expensive. Because otherwise you think you can shoot everything and we'll solve it later. You never solve it later, because if you shoot 100 hours of film, who's gonna watch it? Me, never. My editor, that's too expensive. She costs every week, every day, every hour. The only person that never costs so much is yourself, you know? So it's not solvable. If you shoot that much material, you cannot do a movie, because nobody's gonna watch the whole thing.
Besides you and your cameraman, so you had how big was your team? You had a sound person?
Yeah, we have about 5 people who come from my country, and then we hire like 3 or from other countries.
But you do, like, did I see correct that you have like this elaborate traveling
in Thailand?
Yeah.
For 4 hours. Because sometimes I use stuff like that because you really must sometimes make things understandable. And I wanted this glass wall that you could feel it. And you cannot pan it because then it changes angle. You have to move like the customer's eye. And then you have to take expensive solutions. But we did that really in a few hours. They came in from an equipment house in Bangkok, they brought it, put it up, we shot it, goodbye.
Amazing.
Well, no, it's nothing. If you know what you're doing, it's nothing. Sometimes also, like in Working and stuff, we used for a whole episode a Steadicam, because it was not solvable otherwise. The territory was too high, too difficult, and when they carried the baskets, the movement of the cameraman would extinct the movement of the basket. So I said, okay, let's bring a Steadicam for that, because otherwise I cannot show it. But you have to know your tools to do it.
Questions? Are we really?
That's it.
So are we through?
Yes.
We're done. No more questions? Was there?
Yeah, there's beer.
No. Outside there is beer, yeah. No problem. Okay, thank you very much.
One more.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I was shy. It seems that, well, you said already how easy it was to speak to everybody, but it's really amazing the sincerity of how comfortable and how willing everyone was
to share their story. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that these women seem genuinely like excited to have people know their story?
Because they at one point understood that I'm honest with the sense that I say this screen is your stage. Whatever you say, if you lie to me, if you do whatever you want, you can say it and I will take it. That's a very simple reason. And the second reason is because I like them and they like me. And the third reason is because I paid them and they like that. Whores like to get paid. And I respect them. I don't even think it's a bad thing. I respect it because I think what they do is pretty amazing and it's their real right if they share their stories with me to get something for it. So it's a complexity of reasons. But if I wouldn't have paid them or they wouldn't have liked me, you get nothing. It's really like it's like a 2- or 3-way thing. And they believed me of what kind of film I made. I said, you're not gonna be tomorrow in the newspaper. You're not gonna be tomorrow in the internet. I do not do a porn film. I do not fuck you over. I'm not a journalist. And when you're there, and you're there a year again later, and that really is true, but you bring them a little present, and you bring them their own photograph they could put up in their room, then they believe you. And when they believe you, everything's possible. But you have to take the time and the effort. And no journalist will do that. He will go in there, he will say, you're all victims, you're all fucked over, you're tomorrow in the television, and they hate it. So if you overcome that, you get their trust. And then don't misuse it. I don't misuse it. I don't show this film in Bangladesh. That would be an uproar and it would be bad for them. Maybe it's shown in Bangladesh in 10 years. That's early enough. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.